the case of Charlie Kirk, and we know that in my opinion, the only person who is trying to get something to understand what has happened during that day and talking about it is Candace Owens, and
Correct.
she every day she has a new podcast talking about what has happened, those people who may involve in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And recently she brought out a person who is much more similar to the assassin and to the pictures that FBI published before, before finding Tyler Robinson. And there are many other videos coming out that they showed many other people, many multiple men in that event. They've been much more similar to the pictures than Tyler Robinson.
Hmm.
And what's your understanding of that? Is there any sort of discussion within FBI, or are they talking about these images? Are they talking about the way that people they want to know what has happened during that day? What's your take on that?
Now, let me put it this way. Um, Ray Charles, if he was still alive, he could be Tyler Robinson's defense attorney and would win the case hands down. You can be blind, but the fact of the matter is the evidence that the FBI has ginned up to accuse Tyler Robinson is not going to hold water at all. Everything from the claim that he'd had the rifle shoved down his pants. They got the one video of this guy limping across the street, and they claim, oh, that's the shooter. Except then we get the pictures of supposedly the same guy climbing the stairs, and instead of limping his legs, you can see his right knee and his left knee, they bend. Now, if you had a gun down your pants, it wouldn't be bending. So, that goes out the window. The claim that it was a 30-06 that killed Charlie, that's a lie. That's absolutely not true. And then you get the video where you can see the crowd reaction when the shot actually first takes place. Anybody that's been to a sporting event where they do the wave, where you stand up and, it goes around the stadium, that's essentially what you see. It starts as Charlie's looking at the audience, it starts from the left side and sweeps across as everybody, oh my God, somebody shot. That tells you that that's where the shot came from, not from behind where Tyler Robinson allegedly was. It came from more off to the left side and up. So it's just why. Oh, and Candace Owens dropped another great piece of information. 2 days ago, Kash Patel made a big announcement that they're breaking ties with the Anti-Defamation League. Oh, great. Turns out they'd been in bed with ADL, targeting people like Charlie Kirk for years. And who did Kash Patel send? Which FBI person did he send out to the crime scene? But the FBI director from Connecticut. So you say, well, so what? Well, apparently in this Connecticut office, they share offices with the Anti-Defamation League. So why, out of all the possible FBI agents in the world, do you send the one guy that's sort of cohabitating with the Anti-Defamation League? So this thing stinks. And it's more and more looking like this is an effort to cover up and obfuscate the fact that 2 days before Charlie Kirk was killed, according to Candace Owens, he was going to break ties with Israel. So apparently he's going to break ties with Israel, and 2 days later he's dead. Happy coincidence? I don't know.
Carl, it's not just about Donald Trump and his administration is dealing with many issues.
Wait a minute. You got to give me a chance to say something too.
Go ahead, Carl. Yeah.
Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie's great detective, motive, method, and means. Motive, method, and means. Larry just told you who did it using those three criteria. Go ahead.
And Carl, it's not just about Charlie Kirk. The administration is somehow they're trying they're not clarifying what's going on. What with the investigation, with the case of Epstein. Yesterday, I had many emails talking about why have you stopped talking about Epstein files. And the case of Charlie Kirk, many people want to know what has happened. What is going on with the administration? They were criticizing the Biden administration because they said that they're not directly talking to the public. And Donald Trump wanted to change that tone. But nothing came out of the administration. Instead of that Russia gate that, in my opinion, Donald Trump had nothing to do with Russia, but he's creating new cycles of chaos within the administration, but this sort of attitude under par.
I think they're clowning around in a way that one could have predicted from the beginning, but in a way that even I find not just clownish, but absolutely amateurish and stupid. They don't deal with these crises the way, for example, Netanyahu would. Full steam ahead, keep telling what you're telling, and ignore the torpedoes that are headed at you. Instead, they increase the speed, velocity, and accuracy of the torpedoes. And when I say that, they're doing it with regard to their own base. That's whom they are losing, really, especially those under 40. And it's not just Israel, it's the Epstein case, it's all the pernicious lies that they continue to put out from the spokesperson, the official spokesperson, who thinks that Christian cross around her neck and her blonde hair and her pretty face and everything is all that's necessary to talk to the American people, certainly to MAGA people, to Kash Patel himself, to his deputy, to you name it in the administration. I mean, Hegseth and Trump themselves just demonstrated it at Quantico. They can't seem to handle their own words, their own propaganda, their own lies. They just keep doubling down, tripling down, and so forth, and trying to ignore it and push it away. And it's not going to go away, and it shouldn't go away. I mean, let's take Maxwell, for example. Here's a woman that was convicted of some of the most heinous crimes, in my mind, in American history. And she should be sitting in a maximum security prison awaiting the guillotine, among other things. And she's not. She's probably going to skate through this. And I think people are beginning to realize that. She's probably going to be resurrected. She's probably going to have a good life for the rest of her time and maybe go back to her old ways. This is unconscionable. And these people are not that brain dead and that stupid who are in MAGA. Some of them maybe, but most of them have a mind, and particularly the younger ones. Charlie Kirk was proving that. And they can't handle these scandals. They simply can't. They're not going to go away, and it's going to eat away. And it's going to make, I fear, it's going to make them even more interested in deploying the military in American cities and implementing what they want to implement, which is an attack, first of all, on the Democratic Party, and second of all, on the things that equate with Islam in America, and third of all, in a way that more or less cements their ability to do whatever they want to do with the elections midterm and then later the presidential elections. That's their purpose, I think, now. Does Trump know all this? That's another worrisome thing. I'm not sure he does. I'm not sure he's not just the very inept mouthpiece for an administration that's really being run behind the scenes, completely behind the scenes. And it has different segments of that orchestration. Steve Miller's one, who I understand now is the main person behind the Ahmad Chalabi arrangement on Venezuela, feeding that information into the president. That's not very different from the information Cheney was feeding to the president with regard to Iraq's WMD, to the Epstein case, to the Charlie Kirk assassination, you name it. They aren't handling things very well at all. And Quantico was a perfect example of that. I don't think, I went back and watched some of the video again. I don't think I've ever seen a performance more inept by a Secretary of Defense and a president, both of them together. I mean, just totally inept. It just makes no sense what they did.
Larry, I want to ask you about the meeting that Pete Hegseth together with Donald Trump had with the admiral and generals. But before that, did you watch the video that the guy is shooting at a piece of meat together with the bones all together to show how
Yeah,
the
yeah.
shooting would influence the body and the body of Charlie Kirk? What's your understanding of that? Because the shooting, do we know if there is some sort of investigation going on, if there is no images coming out? And from what we've seen, from what we've heard from Candace Owens, she saw the footage from the backside. There is nothing going on.
Right. No, there are a number of photos and videos out there now that do show the backside of Charlie. There was no exit wound. The video you're referring to is made by a retired Army Special Forces sergeant. He has a YouTube channel called Valhalla VFT, Victor Foxtrot Tango. He was demonstrating just the power of a 30-06 round. So, when they blew up, they shot a cow femur, and the cow femur is about the size of the average man's lower leg, full leg, but it's solid bone. And they put a 3-4 inch piece of meat on it. It was 3 to 4 inches thick. And, the 30-06 just completely shattered that. And he was trying to disprove this claim out of that initially came out that Charlie Kirk's neck stopped the bullet. And they called it neck of steel. Well, then they shot 1/4 inch piece of steel, a 3/8 inch piece of steel, and a 1/2 inch piece of steel. And for the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 inch, complete penetration. The bullet passed through. So all they were illustrating is this claim that the FBI made that it was a 30-06 round with a Mauser is not credible. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny. But then we also have the video evidence of what happened to Charlie. And what we see is that within fractions of a second, first minute he struck with the bullet, you see the front of his shirt pop up and out, and the back of his shirt pop up and out. But there was no bullet coming out. Well, that was caused by the shock wave from the bullet entering the body. It entered the body. It has a cavitation effect, which is, it's like waves going out, but moving at faster than the speed of light, just, rapidly movement. And that created such a pressure inside his chest that actually you can see his neck literally almost double in size as his chest is expanding.
It's the bulging.
Yeah. So it blew up inside his chest, which is why, even though the bullet penetrated where the carotid artery is, that's why we don't see any arterial blood spray. Anybody that's ever seen someone that's had an arterial cut, it sprays, it pumps. The water just keeps coming out until the heart runs out of blood or they get the bleeding stopped. We didn't see that with Charlie. Instead, it was just that moment, and then all of a sudden, a flood. It's like somebody turned on a beer tap and just flowing out of his body. Sorry to be so graphic, but it's important that people understand. So all of that video evidence does not support the claim that it was a 30-06. It was a smaller round. I've speculated that it could have been what they call a 300 blackout, which comes in both frangible and soft point. A frangible round is designed that when it enters human skin, goes through the skin, it's supposed to start breaking up. And particularly if it strikes something like the spinal column, it'll shatter into shards. And it is someone that I know who has spoken to a senior official at TPUSA, said, in fact, they found fragments of bullets, not a whole intact bullet. So that tells you that it's highly likely they used a frangible round. But Tyler Robinson, he didn't do this.